Hi guys, it's Nick here, and I think all the kids are back at school now pretty much after their summer holidays, and so I thought I would do a little video about going to high school with my CP. I did a video on going to university with cerebral palsy a few weeks ago, which I will put an annotation up here somewhere or here for you to check that out if you want to see, but this is about high school. And high school for me was I don't know. I sort of do look back on high school with fond memories, I think, overall. I mean, going to high school, I was really lucky. I was never really bullied at all. Not for I mean, about my disability and stuff. I was never really bullied. I mean, I had the odd snide comment, but unfortunately, I think we live in a world and in a society where a lot of kids get bullied in school now, if not even maybe every child. And I'm not saying I think this is right, I think it's horrible, but you know, I wasn't badly bullied. There was just the odd snide comment, and I think that a lot of people experience those in their school days, and most of the time people were really lovely and friendly and always looked out for me and stuff, especially I think as they were aware I was disabled and I needed more help. People were generally quite nice like that. In other sort of areas, high school was the time where I suppose I really became aware that I was different. Because previously I'd been in primary school and I'd been to a nursery which had both mainstream children and quite a lot of disabled children, and then I went to my primary school, and obviously I think, are you about 4 or 5 when you start primary school? Yeah, you're about 4 or 5 when you start primary school, and obviously I'd gone to primary school with the same children. Everybody knew who I was. My primary school was tiny, so I didn't have a wheelchair in primary school, and I only used my walking frame outside in the playground so that I didn't fall over. Then I went to high school and I got a wheelchair for the first time because high school was big and scary, and there were lots. I think there were over 1,000 pupils at my high school. I'm not sure how many there were, and it was quite big and on a hill, so I used a wheelchair more, and that's one thing I regret, I think, because in my first year I took to the wheelchair pretty much all of the time, because getting to lessons on time and getting back and forth, especially if I had to go from one end of the school to the other, took me quite a while, and I was very scared and very nervous about being knocked over or pushed over by accident or something like that, so I spent a lot of my first year in my wheelchair rather than on my walking frame, which then meant that in areas of being around outside, when I would often use my wheelchair and walking frame, I got very, very scared and very, very nervous, and I lost a lot of confidence, and I didn't really use my walking frame for probably about a year, because I was just really scared. And then in my second year we started building it up so that I used my walking frame more, and then by the time I left I was only ever in my wheelchair on a really bad day. So I would have, I think, I wish now that I'd been a bit more physically confident within myself and used that walking frame more, because losing that confidence even outside of the school setting, in my personal life, it was a big setback, and it took me a long time to claw back that confidence in moving around without falling over. So yeah, I wish that I had had more confidence at the time to just go ahead and try these things. Like I said, I wasn't really bullied because of my disability, which is nice, but I was aware that I was different. There were lots of people there I didn't know, older people, younger people, whatever, and they didn't know me, and they didn't know what was wrong with me and what kind of help I would need. And suddenly it felt very scary at first, until I made some friends, because I had lots of friends from my old school, but the school was so big that sometimes we didn't You couldn't always, like see everybody all the time, and obviously I was used to having friends who knew me and knew what I needed around me all the time, and suddenly it was like quite scary and stuff. And I sort of really became aware that I was different, and yeah, and so it was a bit odd, and at first I felt a bit isolated, but then I settled in, people got to know me, people, were brave enough to ask the questions they wanted to know, like why are you in a wheelchair, stuff like that, and then life just got so much easier, which was nice. There is the whole horrible thing of while you're at high school you have to go through puberty, and puberty for me was quite difficult with a couple of things like starting periods and needing to shave my legs and wanting, I should say, to shave my legs and my underarms and things like that, but that's probably a discussion for another video. So I didn't really know if I should make this video because I didn't really feel like I had a lot to contribute, but all I would say is if you're scared about like the size of, if you're disabled and you're scared about the size of your school, or if there's a disabled person at your school and just go and talk to them, because you're probably nervous about talking to them, and they're probably nervous that people might feel too nervous to talk to them, because I was a bit wary of that at first, because in those first few weeks you want to keep your friends from primary school, but you want to make new friends too, so that you know people all the time, and I was really nervous to talk to people, and it all passes, and I know that this video probably isn't very helpful, but I just sort of wanted to talk to you about that, because I very quickly realised that I was no different. We all had, I was in a wheelchair, but we all had similar interests like music, and we were in the same lessons and we would help each other. So just don't think about how you're different for a disability, just think about how you have a lot of things in common, and there are a lot more people in high school for you to have a lot more things in common with than there were in primary school. So look at it like that. And I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.